Good evening, this is Keith All, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how we could create this reveal cut text effect in Photoshop. So basically I'm having a text on a layer, and it's almost like you're sliding that text behind the paper like you would do like in an envelope or something like that. So let's see how we could do this. I already have a new tab open. I already have the gradient overlay that I created. Again, it doesn't matter what background color you have, or if you want to add a different gradient overlay to your project, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. But our first step after you create your either solid background or gradient overlay, whatever your preferences are, we're going to create a text layer. So we're going to go to the horizontal text type tool, use whatever font you want, size you want, and just type the text that you want. And then let's go up to the options bar and click on this check mark to apply the changes. Now I'm just going to use the move tool to move it. Okay. Now our next step is to create these like slits or cuts in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the polygonal lasso tool, and we're just going to create like a slit basically. So I'm just going to click down with the polygonal lasso tool. As you make each point, you click, and then you come around to close out your selection. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to copy this to its own layer. In order to do this, we need to make a copy of the gradient layer, and then we need to rasterize this layer. Now what we need to do is, while this rasterized gradient layer that I created, while the selection here, we're going to do a Control J on it, and all that does is it copies just that selection to a new layer. So if I turn the visibility off on all these, you'll see what it did there. It just copied that, only that selection, to a new layer. So let's turn these back on. We're going to do the same thing on this side. So while our polygonal lasso tool is still selected, we're going to make a selection. Close that out. Let's highlight or select the layer that we duplicated for the gradient overlay that is now rasterized, and let's do a Control J again. Okay, same thing. It only copied that selection to a new layer. Let's rename this so we know what we're working with. I'm going to just say right cut, or no, left cut. And then this is the right cut. Let's type this in. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to create a drop shadow for both of these. So let's double click on this layer. Let's create a drop shadow. And I'm just going to leave the default as is. You can play around with these options here to get the drop shadow effect that you want. Click OK. Now I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Do a drop shadow for this. And again, play around with these options to get the effect that you want. Click OK. Now what I want to do is I want to be able to copy the drop shadow itself to a new layer. In order to do this, we right click on the effect or the style effect that we want. Right click, and it says create layer. And it says some aspects of the effects cannot be reproduced with layers. Just select OK. And now that drop shadow is on its own layer. And I'll show you that in a second. We need to do the same thing for this other side. Right click on the effect, create new layer, select OK. So if I go ahead and turn this off so you could see what's going on, you could see that the drop shadow effect is now on its own layer. Let's do that. Okay. Let's turn these all back on. Okay. Now once we did that, what we want to do is we want to go to the layers of the drop shadow and create a layer mask on it. And so we just highlight that, create layer mask. We're also going to create a layer mask on this one. Okay, as we're on each one of these layers, what we're now going to do is erase part of this area. But let's bring these forward. So basically, I'm going to take the text layer and move it below all these other layers. So now these selections now appear on top. So now what we want to do is we want to go to each one of these drop shadow layers, highlight the layer mask, click on the layer mask thumbnail, and we're going to use the brush tool over here. Select whatever size that you want. Make sure your foreground color is black. And now start painting over this. So we're just going to paint not the whole thing. So we create that like slit over here. Now we're going to highlight the other side, the right side, and do the same thing while our brush tool is still selected and our foreground color is black. So let's, oh wait, Control Z. Let's do that. Okay. So that's basically how we could do this type of an effect in Photoshop. Now our last step in this, to make the text stand out more, we're going to highlight the text and add a drop shadow to that. So let's add a drop shadow. And I'm going to keep the settings as is and click OK. So that's how you could add this type of an effect in Photoshop. Like the paper is slit and you slide whatever that you have behind that slit or cut. So it kind of hides a portion of your text or your shape, whatever it may be. So hopefully this gave you a new idea on how you could create your future projects or your existing ones. And stop by often because I upload multiple videos per week. Again, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel And if you and also click on that bell notification so you always get updated when a new video is ready. And also please like, share, and comment. Thanks again for stopping by and supporting my channel. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye now.